Hi friends, thanks so much for joining us here at Non-Toxic Home. We are glad that you are here. This is our second installment of our Pharmakeia Revealed series, and we are currently in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 21. We're just going to get right into it.
The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it.
Now, pestilence here means plague. Virology is not what we are told. Got a video up everywhere. How are viruses isolated? Go to our website, search for viruses. You'll find that 5-minute demonstration about how viruses are allegedly isolated and allegedly proven to cause harm. You'll see quite easily that it's all a scam. So, there are obviously people getting sick. Animals get sick. We get sick. Everybody's been sick, just about. I mean, I'm sure there are a few people who've never gotten any kind of snake bite who have never really been sick. And they've always avoided chemicals, and their parents knew the truth, and all these sorts of things. But almost everyone has been sick at some point in their lives. But the problem is that the cause is always misattributed. We have a series on the strong delusion and COVID. So you can go to our Odyssey channel and search strong delusion, and you'll find that it's 5 or 6 video series. Not gonna discuss that again because we've already discussed it. We've already studied it, and we still believe that the strong delusion has indeed been sent already, and that is what it is. If you believe something else, that's fine. Go ahead, believe something else. But be sure that you are spending hours upon hours upon hours on studying and researching before coming to a conclusion about a topic. God wants us to use our coronas. All right, so the Lord shall make the plague cleave unto thee. Pestilence, it's not a virus. So malnutrition is a problem. Our soils are crap. Poison, whether it's Pharmakeia, which is all chemicals, in however they're sold to us. Deodorant, body spray, perfume, makeup, cleaning chemicals, laundry products. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And also, what can be done with chemicals can be done with non-native EMFs, especially microwaves. So we've got 5G as well.
The interesting thing about chemicals, the deodorants and body washes and all that, the interesting thing about it is if you actually eat clean food and don't put nasty chemicals into your body, you don't need deodorants. The only reason for deodorants is because you're off-gassing the nasty smells of the corporation's food that I'm not going to single out any one corporation because they're all, some are slightly better than others, but they all have chemicals in them, and none of their food is completely clean. And it's what you off-gas after you eat that stuff, that makes you stink. And that is why you use deodorants.
By off-gassing, he means detox.
Yes.
Detox. But
yes,
yeah.
we don't use deodorant around here because we eat clean, as clean a food as we possibly can. So.
And we don't use pharmaceuticals and we don't use toxic chemicals. But even so, we still detox. So if you're sweating also as well. I do not have a recommendation for a far infrared sauna because I researched them and came to the conclusion that all of them were high in EMFs. And so that is what a lot of people push on you and say, buy this brand, it's the best infrared sauna on the market. And oh, by the way, I make a cut of it. And, it's not bad to be an affiliate, but if you're an affiliate and you don't know what you're talking about, then you're just doing it for the money. I'm telling you, I don't recommend any. I recommend sweating naturally. Getting outside when it's hot, and especially when it's hot, then it's a lot easier to sweat. And obviously, I don't know why I just said that, because that's like the most obvious thing I've ever said in my entire life.
You can sit in a lounge chair and sweat when it is 95 degrees.
Right.
Fact.
Right. So even if you're sick or not feeling well, you can still go outside and get that benefit. Or you can sit in a hot tub. I mean, there are other ways to increase your core body temperature so that you do sweat and detox without increasing your exposure to non-native EMFs unnecessarily. So the Lord is going to make the plague cleave unto people until he has consumed them off the land. So when is everybody going to be consumed off the land? At the very, very end. It's a long ways away, right? I mean, we're looking at 34, 36 years, most likely. And that's a ways away. So Pharmakeia isn't going to give up. All right, the big pharma isn't going to go down. There's going to be this huge takedown by Q and Co. The QAnon thing, we're every week. We're taking down all of the child traffickers. We're taking everybody down. We're taking down all the evil ones. Fauci's, over and over and over and over and over. It's just a psyop. Don't be silly. Things are not going to get better. They're going to get worse. It's going to get hard. It's going to get harder than you or I can possibly imagine on this world, because only God can really judge properly and effectively. And any retribution that you or I could consider for any evil that's done to us would not even compare to what God's got in mind for people. So the plagues, whether it's COVID or monkeypox or some different variant of COVID or some other cold or flu or some other kind of scary virus that is just a conglomeration of symptoms caused by, malnutrition or I just blanked out, or microwaves or chemicals, whatever, these things are all they're gonna continue. That's not gonna stop. There's nothing that we can do to stop prophecy. If God says this is what's going to happen, then this is what's going to happen. And he says, I'm going to make the plague, sickness, disease cleave unto you until he's consumed thee from off the land. So people are going to get sick more often. Chronic disease rates have already skyrocketed, both in people who have gotten the snake bite and people who haven't gotten the snake bite. Because if you haven't gotten the snake bite, well, the chemical exposure has increased, not just from what they're spraying in the air, which is far more frequent than it used to be prior to 2020, but also everything you buy is more toxic. Everything is sanitized and disinfected with super toxic chemicals. And then the radiation has increased drastically, especially in regards to microwaves of the earth. The Schumann frequency seems to have changed, and that changed for a lot of people, including myself, April 22nd, 2020. That was when the first SpaceX launch was.
And just remember that the environment out there is different, and you're gonna have to learn to adjust. And the remedies that one of the she's got a video about the radiation, microwaves, the environmental solution that we use. It's a good on that. It's a good idea to do it every couple of weeks because the environment changes that often. Yeah. We've talked before about if you just look up, try to avoid the sun because it's not what they say it is. But if you see lines in this cloud, that's a line. That's not natural.
Those are chemicals. That are sprayed.
Mm-hmm. There are many different kinds. They've even changed what they use recently.
We've seen new ones. Oh, and meteorologists suddenly, there's new types of clouds. They just discovered new types of clouds.
And on one slight note on the meteorological thing. They are putting out forecasts that go. They're trying to tell you that they're going to know what happens over the course of a season. My friends, the forecast changes sometimes 3 times in the morning. So I'm sorry, but they get paid a lot of money to guess and to not know. So the less you put your trust in that, and the more you we just bought a book on clouds to learn what the clouds tell us about what's coming. But look up, pay attention. If there are stars at night, then it's a clear night, and there's not rain in the area. If it's cloudy, it's anybody's game. I mean, we have had days where it was completely bright sunny all day long, and then we get a downpour.
Yeah.
So realize that these guys don't know what they're doing. They get paid a lot of money to just guess, and they're wrong, and that it changes all the time.
Right, and so 5G impacts the ability of radar to work somehow. I don't know how, don't care. But so recently, AT&T suddenly says that we've got 5G here, even though there are no small cell towers. But what we do have is rural broadband, and those couplers are installed terribly. That basically a coupler is where one length of broadband is connected to the next, except there's more couplers than you would expect up, and there are no small cell towers up here. So how is it possible that that's here? Well, either it's coming from the towers, which is highly unlikely because we live in the middle of nowhere, or it's coming through those couplers along the telephone poles. So, and
for a slight analogy, like a plumbing line, the fittings that put 2 plumbing lines together, in whatever order, couplers are the same thing. It's what brings them together, and I think that it's possible that if you look up at a telephone, or if you look up at your energy sources, electrical, all that stuff, there are little things that come off of them. We've got a transformer down here where it has little things that come off of it. They can put these 5G transmitters anywhere. They can make them look like anything. So it is 100% possible that these 5G emitters are disguised in many different ways.
It's true.
Couplers are certainly one aspect of it, but I guarantee you that it's not the only one. But I was actually looking up at our transmitter the other day, and there are things coming off there. Yeah. That who knows?
So, but the actual small cell towers require a lot of energy. Energy. Funny how we're in an energy crisis and they're rolling this crap out everywhere. Isn't that funny? So they require a lot of energy. So whenever there is a small cell tower, there's going to be an electrical thing right there. It's a substantially sized electrical box on the ground to power it. So that's one way that some people are identifying them near them, because they are hiding them in some areas. Not here in Indiana, because people are just...
We're not smart in Indiana.
No.
Some places are smarter than others. But,
yeah.
And part of it, it's not necessarily the intelligence of it. It can also be that we're rural. So in a city, they might need to hide it because there's just more people.
But they don't in the cities here. Because I've seen it in Lafayette and in Bloomington. And they right out there, and they've got that big old sticker that says danger. Okay, yeah. This is what this is. Stay away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know that there's a church down the road that I check things at, and right above that, sometimes I feel funny.
Really?
Right across the road from the church.
Yeah.
And I see I see SCIREMC parked there pretty regularly, and I also see I think there was a Duke truck parked there once or twice. So yeah,
funny business.
There's a lot of just talking about stuff earlier. There's a lot of governmental money out there for. She's talking about the stuff around the cities, barricades in the last video. There's a lot of governmental money out there for infrastructure and such, and I have a feeling that these she was talking about New York having a kind of a barricade for floods, that kind of thing. That's probably for governmental money. Just it's out there. The government has put trillions of dollars out there for various infrastructure improvement, and it's probably where it's coming from. So
yeah. So chronic disease is going to be increasingly normalized. It's now normal for teenagers to have strokes. No worries. Yeah, sure. And now what?
I was just reading the next verse.
Oh, gotcha. And now, of course, they've invented SADS, sudden adult death syndrome. Just can't imagine what could cause it. It couldn't be the snake bite. That just couldn't be it. Heart attacks, those are, everybody gets heart attacks. That's totally normal. No, it's not. It's not normal. But, of course, that's happening in people who haven't got the snake bite because chemicals have increased because, primarily... for those who haven't gotten the snake bite, primarily the heart attack causes are due to microwave or radio frequencies, because those literally disrupt your heart rhythm.
I need to start my protocol. Go ahead and work on the video. I'll just be gone in a minute or so.
Okay. So people are deceived into believing that it's viruses. And they're going to continue to believe that they're sick because of a virus, or this just happens, it's normal. It happens to everybody. Everybody's got arthritis. It's totally normal. By the way, boron or borax, that's a cure for it. And of course, it's been demonized. No, it couldn't possibly be the Lord judging their iniquity or an evil world. Couldn't possibly be that. But this is going to continue until the very end. Right there. God's going to make the plague cleave unto you, unto the people, until he has wiped people off the face of the earth. This verse confirms that the virology scam will continue. It is not going to stop. The Lord shall, verse 22, the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. There's a whole bunch to talk about in this verse. So again, who's doing it? It's the Lord. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption. And smiting is just like smacking you, hitting you. With a consumption. A consumption is a wasting disease. Your body wastes away. The Lord shall smite thee with a fever. When the body needs to detox, you get a fever. Most people don't realize that. But if you have a fever, it's because your body needs to detox. That is, we were talking earlier about infrared saunas and how when you heat up your core temperature, then you detox. And detoxing is good. But the fever is so that your body detox. That's your body doing what it should do.
And one of the reason I just got up is we have a protocol that I don't do enough. It basically takes the bad stuff. That's because I'm out in the world quite a bit. It takes the bad stuff and it's a filtering out.
It's to detox.
It's to detox. she has stuff up that she's talked about, remedies and things like that. But it's one of those things. So just wanted to let you know that it's part of how we try to keep going and stay healthy around here. So.
Yeah, and also we sweat. We're outside. We are doing physical work outside, so we're sweating, and that is detoxing. Even if you are like us and live in a non-toxic home and eat clean food and filter your water and do all of these things, you still need a detox. You still have to detox. That is how toxic this world is.
Yeah, and I am around mold. Got a client that just got a terrible situation going on. We're working her through it, but yeah, it's a nasty, toxic world out there, and
right. And then also people who've gotten the snake bite shed, and those particles get on everything, and they're not shedding viruses, all right, they're shedding toxic crap.
Yep.
Which is another cause of why people who haven't gotten the snake bite, who for example are married to people who have, are ending up with strokes and heart attacks and things like that because of what they are absorbing from their loved one.
Yep. I did read that verse, and I saw that, and with an extreme burning.
Let's see, extreme burning. Likely. Oh, okay. So, extreme burning, that can mean high fever. Most likely that's what it means, rather than scorching from the sun. Both are prophesied, though. You know, it says in Revelation that men are going to be scorched by the sun and are going to just say, God, you're evil, wicked, even though God's the one judging wickedness and evil. But based on context, it seems to be extreme burning, a high fever. But of course, when people get the snake bite, what happens? A lot of people get a fever, right? Some people, they've ended up in consumption. They've ended up as vegetables. They're wasting away. Fever, inflammation, their entire body is inflamed. So inflammation, immune disorders. Immune disorders are directly caused by vaccines. Shouldn't have said that word, but I did. Arthritis, allergies, psoriasis, mast cell activation syndrome, all caused by snake bites. All of those. All.
Understand that the not sure how to say this. The whole allergy thing in the world. I learned this a long time ago. It's meant to put stuff in your body that triggers an immune response to teach your body how to fight it off. So you're literally making yourself sick so that your body can respond to stuff. That's how the whole...
you mean immunology?
Well, I don't know what words to use.
That's the premise of immunology.
So you're literally you're intentionally putting stuff in your body to make your body sick so it can learn to fight things off. That's the whole premise of everything. It's the technology is different now so that they can produce it faster. Why would you need to produce it faster if you weren't expecting to have to fight things off or that kind of thing? So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. I remember way back when I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I didn't want to get there's a flu shot. I got sick a couple days later, and I never wanted to put any of that kind of stuff in my system ever again because I was just fine before that.
Yeah, you weren't sick until you got it.
So.
Yeah. So, extreme burning. Extreme burning is, I believe, is high fever. And so people are getting high fevers with it as well. It says a fever and extreme burning. But I would say that the extreme burning could also mean physical burning, because when you get it, it's hot on your arm, right? And it typically swells up some. And some people report burning on their entire arm burning. Others report burning, like their entire body feels like it's on fire. Yeah, so bad. I am so grateful that God revealed the truth to me about Pharmakeia and pharmaceuticals years ago. We need to be loving to those who have fallen for it, not judgmental and mean to them. We need to show them the truth and the light and the love, because it's only by God's grace that we didn't get it. It's only by God's grace that he told us, hey, this is not okay. It's only by his grace that he is saving us, hopefully, if we are faithful unto the end. Any knowledge that we know is because he gave it to us in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, and I mean,
out in the she hasn't left our property in a years. I have clients and stuff like that, and I don't talk about hot topics like that. This particular lady she's just bad situation. Oh man, feel so bad for her. But she loves to talk about hot topics. Let's just put it that way. And she's proudly got the snake bite and the follow-ups and all those things. And all I can do, I'm there to do a job, and there to be honest with her. I'm there to help her through the situation that she's got going on. She has had bad professionals working for her in the past, and it's just terrible. But being loving to her, it's really, she's the only one that's really hard to avoid the hot topics with, because she just brings them up. Right. So the way I typically handle it is just say, I see the world differently, and that I don't know if that's going to work with her or not. We'll just migrate it as we can. But right. So.
But I mean, a lot of people who know the truth about it they behave unacceptably, in my opinion, towards those who have gotten it. There's no reason to be hostile to them. They were deceived. Have you never been deceived about anything in your life?
Are you perfect?
Yeah. Are you perfect? Everyone's deceived about something.
Do you know everything? Yeah. Are you going to heaven because you know everything?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You are no better than anyone else. We are no better than anyone else. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. All have been deceived. All are actively deceived right now about something, and that includes us.
We just don't. Obviously, we don't know.
We don't know what we're deceived about right now. Exactly. But we are actively seeking out to find out anything that we are deceived about, because there's something. I haven't identified anything the past few months or so, but God has unveiled we were deceived about a lot of things prior to 2020, a lot of things, and he's revealed a lot of things since then. So, but that's by his grace. We didn't make that happen. It's because he took the blinders off. It's all him, not us.
And it's interesting. Around the same time that she realized that the times that we were in was around the same time that we started our own. I got irritated and a little bit ticked off at the world, to the point of I'm done with it.
And right, started non-toxic home as a local business.
The local part of it, and it all happened around the same time, and hasn't been the same since.
Right. So the Lord shall smite thee with the sword. So he's gonna smite with the sword. Obviously, the second seal is not opened yet. We're still not sure if there's going to be a second part of the first seal or not. Don't know. It's okay. Whatevs. But we know for sure there's going to be a second seal. And we know for sure that the world's going to be conquered. And that it's going to continue and continue and continue and continue. And the division is going to continue about the topic of the day. People are still apparently putting memes up constantly on Facebook like, I stand with... I support, I stand for, it's following the bouncing ball. Anyway, so the sword, when the second seal is open, no more peace. Blasting. This is really, really interesting to me. Blasting means something scorched. April 22nd, 2020, SpaceX launched. They actually did launch Starlink, a batch, I think the year before. But this was when things really changed here on Earth as far as the frequencies here. And our strawberries were scorched overnight. And we've seen other plants scorched. And other people have reported that their plants were scorched. Some of my ivy recently, I've got ivy growing in the windows. And a couple of those have looked scorched.
One over there that's dead, or it's half dead at least.
I pulled it out, got it out of there, but some of them are starting to look scorched in correlation to new launches. Typically SpaceX Starlink, and of course they're very close. They're not actually satellites; they're dirigibles, and a lot of people are seeing them at night, but they don't know what they're seeing, and they say that they're UFOs. Those are not unidentified. Those are easily identified. Those are Starlink satellites or dirigibles.
They're who knows what brand they are, but they are certainly dirigibles, and they are larger than the stars.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell.
Yeah.
Typically, and you have to be up at just when the sun won't be quite up yet, but it'll be starting to get there'll be a gradient starting to get in the sky, and you can't see the stars at this time, but you can see a light. That's a dirigible.
Yeah.
So,
and they moved like satellites aren't supposed to move. Satellites, that's not how they move. Well, sometimes they go one way and then they go the other way. They do that, and sometimes they move rather quickly like this, but they don't zoom across the sky. If it's zooming across the sky real fast, that's not it. It's something else.
It's called an airplane, people, or a helicopter.
Most likely. Yeah.
That's why God wants us to use our coronas. Think. There's a lot of times we have instruction to use our brains. Yeah. Think. Try to be smart.
Yeah. Another meaning of blasting that is very, very important and relevant to our lives here is blight. Blasting also means blight. We've had plants here that have had blight. Multiple berry bushes. Some plants in the garden have had blight since March of 2020. I've never seen a plant in real life with blight in my entire life. And I've seen a lot with blight. That's right here in the Bible. Judgment upon a wicked world. Also, this blasting could mean that crops are drying up. So, like drought. So, God sends the water via nature or geoengineering. It doesn't matter. He's in control. He's omnipowerful. He's the one who is holding the puppet strings of the people who are doing the geoengineering and the genetic engineering as well. Satan comes to him and he says, okay, do this. Now, of course, now we're in the time of his judgment. It's just beginning. So this is the judgment of the world. And with mildew, powdery mildew, kills your plants. Squash plants are especially susceptible to powdery mildew. And again, I never had powdery mildew, I don't think, prior to 2020. Had powdery mildew. Also, this mildew. Ding, ding, ding. It went off in my head. This word mildew also specifies in our tool rust. I have never seen a plant with rust before. And our willows had it. It's killed some of our blueberry bushes. Others of our blueberry bushes are like half okay-ish and half not okay. And some of them are, questionable yet as well. But I've never seen rust before. Rust is a fungus. And that was on our blueberry bushes this year and on some of our willow trees. Our willow trees seem to have recovered from the rust, though. These issues with crops are not going to stop. They're just going to increase. It's going to get worse. I don't like saying that because I try to grow things. It says, they shall pursue thee until thou perish. So all of these issues, it's a whole big old trash can full of issues right there. It's going to continue until thou perish. And that means the very end. Yeah. All right, verse 23.
And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
Actually, I want to read the next one too.
I remember you bringing this verse up. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. Before you say something, it says here that the Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. We get rain around here that is very large drops, and things don't seem to be that wet after that. It's very strange.
Yeah. It's weird. It's so weird. It doesn't smell. I don't react to it. I react to a lot of chemicals. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it smells like normal rain, but a lot of times it doesn't smell like rain anymore when it's raining or after it rains. It doesn't smell like chemicals most of the time. Sometimes after a rain it smells like chemicals, but as you mentioned, it's not real rain.
It's not that wet.
It's not. Water is supposed to be wet, and as you said, it's not wet. What is wet is when I get up in the morning and there's been dew. The dew. Here's what's weird. And I just noticed this past week. The dew is wetter than it used to be. Like, we get more dew overnight than we used to. And I know that's because I go out to our septic field and harvest grass for the rabbits. And if it's too wet, I can't get it. I mean, I'm not going to give them a pile of wet grass. So that's weird. Anyway, so these two verses, but yes, very good point about the rain. Very good point. These two verses, what I see are chemtrails. I see chemtrails here. And what?
I said, yeah.
Yeah. And at first I read it and I went, what? I don't get it at all. Thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. What? So at first I thought, well, maybe like the heaven's going to be like the doors to the waters above are going to be sealed with iron, and maybe the earth's going to be so dry it's going to be like iron. But then I was like, well, I didn't feel like I was asking the Holy Ghost about it. Like I spent probably a couple hours just on these couple verses, just trying to seek it out and seek Him out and confirm. And I'm pretty certain that this is what it's talking about here. Brass and iron are both metals. What is one of the main primary components of a chemtrail? Metal, heavy metals, aluminum, mercury, strontium, all of those, everything bad, basically. Besides the chemicals, of course.
So we've talked about these before. I have mentioned to you just if you're new to this concept, look up and see what's trailing behind an airplane and see what happens after, because they're either trying to produce moisture, trying to stop moisture, or something else entirely, and we don't really know what that would be. But straight line clouds, those are typically ones that are trying to produce moisture. There are some where there's nothing behind it, and then half an hour later it'll look hazy. And then there's some where it's like a dash. I don't know what the heck that is. But just pay attention, look up, pay attention, and it's gotten more and more prevalent. It's part of why it's impossible to predict the weather anymore. They just don't know. So yeah, and then the plants, it'll rain around here, and the plants will get rusty looking stuff on them. We'll get an inch of water in a bucket, and she'll have to water the garden because an inch down in the soil, there's nothing.
It's dry.
So
it's dry. Yeah, I mean, even when we get a more nourishing rain, a slower, more nourishing rain, I'm still having to water the plants in the garden, which it doesn't even make any sense, but I have to. I mean, if I didn't have mulch down in the garden, then I would be watering every day probably, and they'd probably still die. It's that bad. But here's what could be the cause is the metals, because for plants, when plants absorb the metals, then basically they really have trouble absorbing water into their system. That's just how plants work. And so in 2020, what plants were? I can't remember what plants it was I had in the garden that I could not figure out what was wrong with them. And I'd never seen anything like it before, and I can't even remember what the symptoms were because that was 2 years ago. And I've read a lot and slept a lot and reacted a lot since then. But there's been a lot of chemtrails since then. But what I figured out was that it was aluminum toxicity. And so I applied a bunch of sweet PDZ, which is zeolite. You can get it from a farm store. And I bought that because I used that. I already had it because I used it for the chickens. And I put that around my plants, and that worked. So I do apply that in the garden, and that does seem to help absorb the heavy metals. Now I know some people will say, well, then you need to grow all your food in a greenhouse. Okay, but that's still not going to be perfect, because the water, even if you have to give the plants distilled water in order for the water to be free of everything, and you're going to get air in there unless you have an airlock system. And if you don't have and if you have an airlock system, then you're going to have to take some extraordinary measures as far as oxygen goes in there, and all of the, and carbon, you'd have to increase carbon. I mean, a lot of people who tell you what to do in regards to these things don't have actually any hands-on experience with growing things. So, and
I mean, there's a big war right now on carbon. By the way, we need it to live.
Carbon is plant food,
and it's our food. we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon. And carbon is what the plants take in, trees, everything.
Yeah. Some greenhouse farmers actually, and both, not just greenhouse farmers, but small scale greenhouse growers, increase carbon in their greenhouse intentionally via various methods so that their plants grow better. So if we don't have carbon, or if we have less carbon, then the plants are going to suffer.
So, carbon neutral, are you wanting to die? Do you want to kill things around you?
Do you want to eat? Don't you want to eat? I like to eat.
There was a thing back in the 80s, I think, where carbon was victimized? I don't know.
Demonized.
The people who, shall we say, funded the study were told to blame humans on about carbon, and ever since then it has been it's been demonized, and we are at fault for it and everything else. But if you think about it, like we just mentioned, plants need it to live. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to be carbon neutral, then
or some
you must not want to eat. You must not want. I mean, your lettuce, the lettuce that's on your plate, that needs carbon to grow. Mm-hmm. All the plant life that you eat, all the greenery that's on your plate. If you're carbon neutral, then that is not going to happen.
Right. Well, in meat, animals eat plants, mm-hmm. so you need carbon for those plants. And then even if you want to live on insects have to have something to eat to grow, and so typically that's meat or plants. Plants, again, carbon. Oh, people just don't think, and of course, nobody's ever looked at, hardly anybody's ever looked at the actual science, which is not in any way something that would qualify as scientific. It's all junk science.
So anyway, all these hot topics that we're talking, it's just people don't think.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. So I was reading in one of my gardening books that I did not recommend in my video on the homesteading resources. And it was talking about, in one chapter, it was talking about carbon and how, carbon is so necessary, and, you really can't sequester carbon in the ground, really, and all of these things, because if it eventually ends up in an earthworm, and if the bird eats the earthworm, then it's back out into the ecosystem again, and whoops, there went the carbon, you didn't sequester anything. And at the same time, it's saying, global warming due to carbon, and but also, you need more carbon in your greenhouse. And I was like, seriously? Cognitive dissonance, anyone?
But here's the thing: carbon is such a low percentage of the environment. I mean, I think it's less than 1%. I think it's crazy low, like 0.7 or something like that of the environment that we live in is carbon. So, if carbon is being blamed for anything, any kind of global climate thing, then they're full of it, because it's a very, very, very low percentage of what's actually going on.
Go ahead. I'll wait because the thing's loud. Go ahead.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, I have to wait.
We have a small house.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You're free.
Okay. So the chemtrails, of course, are a huge part of this, because we're going to say they're going to blame carbon. We're going to blame us for the weather. They're going to blame us for the plants dying. They're going to say, well, we need to go into a climate lockdown. I see that coming as well, because of, you're just a human. You shouldn't be consuming anything. You shouldn't be breathing. My goodness, you silly human. So these metals that are released in chemtrails intentionally, when they are in your body, they make you... Oh, hold on a second, because that's loud. Sorry. They make you into an antenna for radio frequencies and microwaves. And so it all works together. It's really quite an impressive plan. It's very unfortunate for those of us who are canaries and those of us who are trying to, do good things and have health problems because of it. And of course, there's, the mercury in your teeth as well. But there's all sorts of scientific evidence from mountaintops that are extremely high that the rain and the snow, it's not that. It's not coming from the rain and the snow. It's coming from the chemtrails. They've gone through and sampled the air and that sort of thing. That's very up high where there wouldn't be pollution. And they found these metals. And if metals in a human body make you an antenna, that's going to happen for the animals as well. And thus animals are languishing as well. We've shared, about the rabbits and chickens, problems that we have with animals, and our cats as well. And the same goes for plants. Plants uptake those as well. So that is where I see these verses heading. And it's when it says heaven here, it means sky. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land, and thy land here means the whole earth. They're going to make the rain. The Lord shall make the rain. Who again? The Lord. Going to make the rain of thy land powder. Powder here means fine particles. And chemicals are often fine particles that are dissolved in water. And dust. That means anything pulverized into powder. From heaven, in other words, from the sky, shall it come down or descend upon thee until thou be destroyed. From the sky, powder is going to come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. And we've already shared, you mentioned earlier about some plants, like after it rains and other times it looks like it's got a powder on it. From the sky, it will descend.
Every once in a while, my truck will have a layer of sometimes white, sometimes red dust on it after it has rained. Sometimes. So. Yeah.
And so because this says from the sky, this doesn't mean there's going to be a rain. Doesn't mean there's going to be a drought. Because it says it's going to come down from the sky. So if actual rain was coming, if it was real rain, then it wouldn't cause a drought. You wouldn't end up with a drought. So this can't be about a drought. So again, these chemtrails are punishment for disobedience. People are disobedient. They are not listening to God. They're not seeking his face. They are not studying to show themselves approved unto God. They are not trying to figure out truly how a real follower of Yeshua is supposed to deal with the New World Order or any of those sorts of things. Like I said, a lot of people are going to say, well, verse 24 is talking about a drought. But, okay, fine. Well, whatever. We can agree to disagree. But drought is part of prophecy as well. So we're going to have a drought as well. All right. So that is just mind-blowing to me. I never thought that I would come across anything in Scripture that would make me think of chemtrails. It's probably the last thing that I would have thought that I would come across in Scripture, quite frankly. Hopefully this has been informative to you. If so, please give this video a like, and we will continue in our study There's so much more to go on Pharmakeia. It's absolutely amazing, and we are glad that you're here. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, and have a most beautiful and blessed day.
Non-toxic out.